Is it just me, or does this whole situation feel off? Like something feels wrong or problematic or lurking within the background, right? I think it's because of the whole Nostradamus prophecy. We don't really know anything about it. We don't really know what it means for devils or what crazy, chaotic thing it could reborn back into the story. But we do know a lot of people acknowledge its existence. The falling devil, which is a primal fear, is ushering in that prophecy and is trying to take Asamitaka back to hell. It's a little bit more complex than that. That's just the simple terms. The more you dive into it, the more you think about it, however, the more things don't really line up. Almost like there is more here, obviously, but more so, when are we going to get it? Admittedly, I was worried that this primal fear would be a really big problem power-wise, but Fujimoto has done a really good job to balance that appropriately. See, primal fears could be the most powerful thing within the story, and so far from everything that we have seen, I still believe that to be so. The individuals that sit at the top of the power scale between humans, devils, hybrids, etc., primal fears are at the top. Now that may be because they're really strong, but it doesn't necessarily equate to them being respected. We know there is some sort of devil hierarchy society, but we don't really know what that's factored in for. What I mean by this is Pochita is a great example of someone that is well respected within hell, but also very equally hated and feared. So much so he has a cult-like following. There seems to be pockets of devils and things within hell that linger around or are drawn towards certain individuals. Primal fears that we have seen so far have been the peak embodiment of power, but have never really been followed. And I think maybe that's because the primal fears, and it might be early to say, live within their own pocket dimension. They are within hell, but I believe because they're so powerful, they reside probably not in the general area. I guess to put it in simple terms, you could think of it like a prison. The darkness devil resided in its own little pocket dimension, which is like its own private holding cell, and then all of hell is just open floor. Unfortunately, when I think about it like that, it kind of goes against the whole door visual aid that Fujimoto has given us, which each door would be a representation to hell or a different part of hell. So it's kind of weird, but I find it interesting to think about. The reason why I talk about these primal fears is because Denji is not having a good time. He has no chance against his primal fear. Fall is working with a purpose and serving hell to a higher degree, which is interesting, which is why I talked about hierarchy and the differences between power hierarchy, maybe social hierarchy between devils. So while still incredibly strong and Denji can't do anything to her, she's also not as dangerous. She's not as volatile. She's not outright going and devouring humans left, right, and center. She's picky, very specific. It works well with the whole chef attire attitude that she has going on, and she's very orientated, which is peculiar for a primal fear to have, considering they are the embodiment of, your primal essence. You think it would be kind of rage-inducing or just no control or finesse whatsoever, like darkness, but she is the complete opposite. That's why I applaud Fujimoto for balancing that out, because now it's a lot more believable that Fall doesn't just devour Chainsaw Man straight from the get-go. He struggles, he fights over and over again and definitely loses, but Fall takes a lot of damage. But to combat that, she's not really trying to fight in response. She heals instantly. She's kind of just vibing, to be honest, and fighting halfly back, almost defensively in a way where she just kick Denji away or stop him with her finger or something, which is rather impressive. I think it's definitely scary how all of this could be very much different, could be thrown onto its head if she got angry, if she was as volatile as the Darkness Devil, because she is honestly just vibing. She has no issues or anger or weirdness about herself. She's just serving a purpose. She just wants to drop Asamitaka into hell. That brings up a whole plethora of different questions. Why Asa? Is it more so to do with Yoru? Is it the horseman situation? And if so, why does hell want the horseman back in hell? And then I went along this train of thought thinking about the whole hell hierarchy, the social dynamics between devils, and maybe horsemen aren't really messed with that lightly. Maybe they see them as abominations because they, from what we know so far, are only utilized to their fullest potential when they merge with humans. There is an idea that I brought up a lot of different times throughout Chainsaw Man's story, and to put it simply, it was that horsemen are the kind of embodiment of both a devil and human combining together, and that the only way these horsemen can actually be as powerful as they are is if they combine with a human of some sort. Now, it doesn't have to be like Denji. Obviously, so far we've seen every single horseman within a body form. Makima, now Naoyuta, Fami, Yoru, and they all theoretically should have a weaker stage before that to seek out the human body. So the little owl thing that Yoru was, and I guess for another example, maybe Pochita with his little dog form. The purpose for that, I'm not entirely sure. To balance power dynamics, to show that devils are born and kind of bred through human fear, and the strongest of human fear being the four horsemen of the apocalypse, that is conscious, of course, results in the combination of both of them, a human and a devil. Primal fears are just straight that. They are a subconscious fear to humans, something within your DNA, yet they don't necessarily have to view themselves as human. They don't have to combine with humans. But funny enough, they do need to do something to get access to Earth. They can't just invade or go in as they please. So there is laws, there is rules and restrictions that have to be at play. The Darkest Devil couldn't just swoop in. You seen Fall had to do a massive sacrifice to enter Earth. There's things here that rotate around the human body. Will Fujimoto ever explain it? Probably not, but it is definitely fun to think about. But the more we get to see of Primal Fears, Horsemen's, the more the conversation usually comes back around. I love Fall. I love what she's doing. I love that she's a little bit different. I love that she's not as crazy and violent as anything we have seen. And when she invokes the trauma onto Denji, which, mind you, we talked about this a couple of weeks back, that this was the thing that Denji would have to deal with. His trauma, his past. Who do you think the first two people are that show up? Power and Aki. And literally the exact same way that we thought it would be. What he sees are both times that he opened the door to death. Opening the door to Aki being a gun fiend and opening the door to Power dying. If you didn't know, these doors are a massive representation to trauma and now specifically linked to hell. Go look at all of the representation of hell within Chainsaw Man. They love to use doors. In the simple of terms, it's a passageway from one point to another. And you can take that and use it in a lot of different ways, which is what Fujimoto has done. He's linked trauma to these doors. He's linked hell to these doors. Usually there's nothing good behind it. But even though we all called this, we also called another thing, Denji's response to this trauma. Originally, I didn't really know how he would take it, but I also mentioned that the way he deals with his trauma is very different to the average human. Denji is not normal. He hasn't had a normal upbringing. He doesn't necessarily think and ponder or wallow within depression. He's kind of proactive in a way, scarily so, where he'll just dive headfirst into something to either distract himself or to face it head first. This is one of those times where he doesn't overthink the situation and acts off instinct. Knowing that he's also fighting a very powerful devil, he chainsaws his own head to stop himself from thinking. Simple as that. And it works actually really efficiently. He stops floating up into hell, his thoughts about all of his past and trauma goes away, and he's able to fight. He even devours all of the primal fear from head to toe. And the only reason he was able to do this, mind you, is because she allowed it. She went through this whole motion of thinking that a chef should know what it's like to be eaten. Quirky, I guess, do you? Because of that, you do actually get a really cool panel where she's completely digested and her body spawns out of Denji's, like vertically, while he's horizontal, you know, like a cross or a T, you know what I mean? I thought it was just a very interesting design choice to have Denji still kind of intact while she's forming. Her healing is just ridiculous. It's insane. And she's not trying to do anything crazy. She's not really fighting Denji at all. She just flicks him away after that, after he's cut in half. That's impressive. But I mean, what else are you meant to expect? It's a primal fear. However, someone else is here. Denji's lying on the floor, very much wounded, completely cut in half, and a mysterious person that you only see the legs and a bit of a sword cut their hand and feed Denji some blood so he can get back up and fight again. All while Fall has found where Asa was hiding. So the confrontation here is very, very close. The next chapter, you will most likely get to see Denji fight around Asa for the first time. It'd be very cute if he even got to reveal himself, but funny enough, knowing Yoshida, I don't think he's too far behind. Now, I don't know who this mysterious person is. Like, how are we meant to know this? It's just literally someone's legs. There's a couple of guesses. You know, not a whole lot of people use swords or maybe knives even. It's hard to tell what it actually is lengthwise because you only see the fraction or the tip of it. I've already seen people say Angel. I don't really know why Angel would be here, what purpose that serves. Last time we seen Angel, the fate of Angel was kind of left up in the air, and then within an interview, the death of either Angel or Kobeni was specifically brought up between those two, and Fujimoto Fujimoto did confirm alongside his editor that Angel died instead of Kobeni. And then I was looking at the shoes and like, yeah, it's kind of close to Kobeni's, but it's kind of a silly way to gauge who this is because it's shoes. It could be anyone from the school. It could be anyone that wears the devil hunting uniform. So there's three options: the curveball that is Kobeni, typical one, which is Yoshida, which most likely I would expect, but I don't know why he would have a knife, but you never know. And then there's that one guy that's Harumi. I always forget his name. The fake chainsawman that was with Fami. I think either of these options are good. Some make more sense than others. I would like to see Kobeni, but in this situation, it's kind of a little bit scary. So I'm just going to say it's probably Yoshida or Harumi, but I definitely am excited to see. Clearly this person wants the primal fear gone. The only person with that intention we know so far is Yoshida. He's the only one that knows a lot of information about Nostradamus' prophecy. He's the only one that would technically be here if he wanted to be, and if by whatever means this primal fear is working with Fami, which we still haven't got confirmation on, it brings things full circle pretty nicely. Now I don't really know how this ends. I don't see the primal fear dying. I can see it being sent back to hell in some way. I just don't think Fall has that fight within her to warrant it. Like, she's really not that destructive. I do hope we get a little bit more information when it comes to Yoru and potentially how hell feels about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. They really want Asa to be fed back into hell, and I can only assume it's not because of Asa but because of Yoru. In any case, there is a lot of great things on the horizon. I'm very much excited. You're most likely excited. I want to hear all your thoughts about this chapter and where you think it's going right now. Thank you for watching.